Welcome back to NASCAR World News. Dale Earnhardt Jr. just walked directly into the center of the biggest and most heated conflict NASCAR has seen in years, and what he said might genuinely surprise you even more than the conflict itself. He placed $100,000 on the line to make a very specific point about Kyle Busch. Let me rewind and explain exactly how this entire situation first got started. A couple of weeks back, Denny Hamlin settled into his chair for a recording session on his podcast called Actions Detrimental. He began discussing Kyle Busch, and the language he chose was genuinely cutting. Hamlin opened with a straightforward observation: things are simply not going well inside the Kyle Busch camp right now. Then he pressed considerably deeper into his assessment. He stated that Busch has been genuinely struggling for 5 complete years. He told the fans who expect Busch to return to winning races on any kind of regular basis that they are deceiving themselves and setting themselves up for serious disappointment. But here is the critical portion that the overwhelming majority of people completely missed in the coverage that followed. Hamlin also described Busch as a Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore-level driver within that same episode. He expressed genuine sadness about witnessing the situation because Kyle is a fierce competitor who despises losing more than almost anyone in the sport. Hamlin openly admitted that he cannot even hold Kyle's helmet when it comes to pure, raw driving talent. The complete episode ran approximately 13 minutes in total length, but across every social media platform, only the harshest portions got clipped and shared with massive audiences. That selective sharing is precisely where all the subsequent trouble originated and accelerated. Kyle Busch was not pleased about any of it, not even remotely. When Kyle arrived at Kansas Speedway on Saturday, the reporters were lined up and waiting with questions ready, and he delivered his answers without any hesitation or filter whatsoever. Kyle stated directly that if Denny genuinely wants to exchange cars, he will swap with him absolutely any day of the week at any time of his choosing. Then he elevated the intensity considerably further. He expressed that he would genuinely love the opportunity to watch Hamlin demonstrate that he can handle the situation better than Kyle currently is. But the specific line that sent the entire NASCAR community into an immediate frenzy was delivered directly into the cameras. Kyle communicated that Hamlin can criticize him freely all he desires, while he can certainly make Hamlin's existence on the racetrack considerably more difficult and uncomfortable in return. And Busch was nowhere near finished making his position known publicly. He appeared on Sean Hannity's podcast and doubled down on every single statement he had previously made. He accused Hamlin of openly calling him washed up and finished as a competitive force. He stated that Hamlin has his own podcast platform and has been running his mouth consistently, suggesting that behavior might eventually introduce someone to his bumper on the racetrack. Busch even went as far as publicly revealing what he personally described as his hate list of current competitors. Appearing on that list were Carson Hocevar, Joey Logano, and Brad Keselowski. A brief but important clarification deserves mention here. Hamlin never actually used the words washed up when discussing Busch during that podcast episode. He never directly stated that Busch had lost his ability to compete at a high level. Those precise words never left his mouth during the recording. But Busch clearly received and interpreted the message in exactly that manner, and that personal interpretation is ultimately what drives his emotional response and everything that has followed from it. So then Sunday arrived, bringing race day at Kansas Speedway, and Busch attempted to back up every word he had delivered to the media with actual on-track action. With 27 laps remaining in the race, Busch was sitting in dead last position within the 37-car field. He was running 4 complete laps behind the leaders, but when Hamlin came around to put him a further lap down, Busch made the pass as physically difficult as he possibly could. He held up Hamlin's fast Toyota aggressively, while Tyler Reddick was simultaneously hunting Hamlin down at the front of the field for the lead. Even Busch's own spotter, Derek Nealand, grew visibly nervous about the developing situation. He jumped on the team radio and communicated that while he understood what Kyle was feeling emotionally, they needed to approach the moment with some intelligence and strategic thinking, essentially delivering a calm down message to his driver in real time. Busch ultimately crossed the line in 35th position, his single worst finishing result of the entire current season. He now sits 27th in the overall championship standings. That represents a genuine and alarming freefall for a driver carrying 63 career victories on his resume. Hamlin, for his part, recovered to finish 4th in that same race. He also addressed Busch's threats directly through his social media platforms following the event. Hamlin wrote that he was genuinely uncertain what he was supposed to do in this situation. He hosts a podcast and is obligated to address questions about relevant and timely topics within the sport. He expressed confusion about specifically where Busch concluded that he had been attacked or bashed in any meaningful way. He described his position as navigating an incredibly difficult tightrope with every episode he produces and publishes. Later appearing on the Fox Sports broadcast, Hamlin noticeably softened his overall tone and offered something that sounded like sincere and heartfelt appreciation for his former teammate. He stated openly that Kyle Busch taught him more than any other teammate he shared a garage with across his entire professional career. Then he added a line that carried genuine warmth beneath the surface. He said he is actively rooting for Kyle to rediscover his form because the sport genuinely needs the version of Kyle Busch everyone remembers and fell in love with watching compete. Alright, that is the complete background and setup. Now let's arrive at the moment everyone has genuinely been anticipating. What exactly did Dale Earnhardt contribute to this conversation? On his program called the Dale Jr. Download, Dale Jr. looked directly into the camera and delivered a remarkably bold and specific claim. He stated that he would personally wager $100,000 that Kyle Busch never actually sat down and watched all 13 minutes of that podcast episode from beginning to end. $100,000. Dale Jr. is betting that kind of money specifically on the belief that Kyle only ever encountered the harshest and most negative clips that circulated across social media, rather than consuming the complete and balanced original content. Dale Jr. laid out his theory with clear and logical reasoning. His belief is that Busch most likely received a text message from someone in his circle, someone who had seen the clips and reacted entirely to the most inflammatory portions, without the surrounding context. But Dale Jr. didn't limit his comments to the podcast controversy alone. He expressed genuine personal sadness about watching Busch struggle through this current stretch of his career. He pointed out something genuinely interesting that many observers had overlooked regarding the team's situation. Busch is now working with a new crew chief named Jim Pullman. Pullman previously worked within the JR Motorsports organization, which is Dale Jr.'s own company. He won races and delivered championship results there, working alongside Justin Allgaier, so his fundamental competence and capability are not legitimately in question from any objective perspective. Dale Jr. framed the situation with honest and measured language. He acknowledged that the team came out of the season opening weekend at Daytona with a genuinely promising qualifying performance that suggested things might be heading in a positive direction, but the stretch of racing that followed has been consistently and painfully difficult to observe. Then he delivered a statement that cuts particularly deep when you fully absorb its implications. He suggested that Kyle keeps experiencing various problems and issues every single weekend, and that without those recurring issues, the team would probably be performing at a level roughly comparable to what Austin Dillon is currently producing. That comparison stings considerably given the context, but Dale Jr. also made certain to acknowledge Kyle's legendary status in the sport he loves. He described him as a first-ballot Hall of Famer without any qualification or hesitation. He called him unequivocally still a genuinely elite race car driver who simply finds himself in a very difficult moment right now professionally. Now let's examine the raw numbers, because they tell a genuinely heartbreaking story for anyone who has followed and appreciated Kyle Busch throughout his career. Busch has not visited victory lane since June 4th of 2023. That winless stretch now extends beyond 102 consecutive Cup races. It represents the single longest winless stretch of his entire professional Cup career, without any close comparison. He has recorded 0 top 10 finishes across all of 2026 to this point. His average finishing position throughout this current season sits at 21st. Now compare those figures directly to Denny Hamlin. Across the 6 most recent races, Hamlin's average finishing position is 5.3. Busch's corresponding average across that identical stretch is a painful 25th. The gap between those two numbers is not even remotely close by any reasonable competitive standard. And here's the detail that probably hurts the most deeply when you sit with it for a moment. Busch carries 63 career Cup victories, placing him 9th on the all-time wins list. Hamlin sits at 61 career victories, just 2 wins separating them on that historic list, and Hamlin has collected 12 victories since the last time Busch reached victory lane. At the rate things are currently progressing, Hamlin will surpass his former teammate on the all-time wins list before this current season concludes. Pause and fully absorb that reality. The teammate that Kyle taught and mentored and competed alongside is about to pass him permanently on one of the most significant records the